but that way they can see us.
It's true.
So Adrian Powers, and I'm sorry.
Jessica Stamen.
Good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I think it's a beautiful film.
Thank you very much.
Amazing story. When I finish complimenting you, I'll ask you when you first heard the story. But and it's funny when you watch this on a smaller screen, the credits you just don't pick up. So my first question at one point was going to be, how did you get that post-apocalyptic footage?
Yeah.
But you flew all the way to Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we shot the film in 2 blocks, and so there's a portion of it that we shot in Australia, in New South Wales. All the stuff kind of around the cave and when they're all together in that kind of compressed space. If you turn the camera to the right, you're going to see the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's ridiculous. But once we had that, we knew we had to get a lot more establishing material and stuff to really build the world. And there's a couple of little CGI things in there, but we really didn't have money to construct a huge CGI environment. But do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so this is where the Ukrainian connection comes, and I do understand it's a very sensitive time to mention the Ukrainian. Apologies. Funnily enough, my parents are Ukrainian, and my dad was going back home for a high school reunion, and I thought, gee, okay, there's something just outside of Kiev that might suit really well for that environment. So we did the Chernobyl exclusion tour, but took in some cameras. I'll let you speak about the hardware.
Well, yeah, I mean, so everything that's in those establishing shots and the apocalyptic thing, that is all shot on my iPhone. Just all shot on a little gimbal that we took around, so no one even cared that we had that.
Yeah,
there.
you're just a tourist.
Just a tourist. Yeah. And this is before Chernobyl really, I was about to say blew up. And that's terrible. But it was when we were on the bus on the way there, they were showing a documentary about the history of the region. And we were just sitting watching, man, someone's got to make a mini-series out of this. And obviously they were like posting that at the time. So it was funny, but it was before. Now you can't go on that tour without 100 people taking selfies and stuff. It's nuts. So we were there right before it really became a big thing.
Wow. All right, so then let's leave the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And so the story itself is Indigenous Australian?
Yeah.
And you were inspired by an artist?
Yeah, so the story of the Brolga bird, which is an Indigenous Australian Dreamtime story, is a story that I've known a long time since I was a kid. And I've always really liked it and appreciated it. And just in kind of doing my own research into the story, on its own track, I got in touch with the Indigenous elder who is kind of the custodian of that iteration of the story. And he's also an artist and a painter, and he all of the paintings in the movie are done by him. And when I decided that I wanted to make an apocalyptic Australian film, because I just felt I felt like we had more to offer than just Mad Max in terms of like that kind of material. Even though I love those movies, but it's like we can do a little bit more, guys. We can branch it up. And so when I really thought, okay, it would be great to make a movie that kind of talks about Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australian relationships and what the culture is like, and a story about those two kind of cultures coming together and working together and cooperating together. I realized that I could incorporate that Dreamtime story into it to create like an interesting dual narrative. So I got in touch with Michael and told him about the idea and asked what he thought, because there's a very high chance they could be like, no, we don't think that's appropriate, in which case I'd be like, no problem, thanks so much for considering it. But he was so excited and so into it and has been such a huge supporter the whole way through the project. And Indigenous audiences back home have really responded well to the movie, so we're super happy.
Yeah, well, you're so respectful, and it's such a wonderful telling of that story, and it's a tearjerker. It's hard not to be touched by it.
Appreciate it.
And let me open it up to this audience. I'm sure some people have some questions. There.
Did you use traditional in this movie with a black and white, or did you use it in Adobe Photoshop? Did you use like a type of film software?
So the stuff, as I said, we shot some of it on iPhone. The rest of it we shot on the Red Epic. I was the colorist as well for the movie, and it's just all, it's literally all just grading inside Adobe Premiere.
So that's how I could transition from black and white to color.
Yeah, so that's all just digital. That's all completely artificial. That transition, that's all just just keyframes.
When the stuff that you shot for black and white, it looks so beautiful.
Thanks.
Did you do it while you shot? Did you have your DP do any compensation, knowing it would be black and white?
In fact, the original intention was when we were going in, we didn't really actually think about doing the black and white. And then right before we started, Tim, my DP, who's just a fantastic DP, he's like, this should be really in black and white. I think it'd be better. I'm like, you're a genius. Let's do that. And then we talked about it more and said, look, I think we can actually add another layer by incorporating the color and trying to tell, another kind of thematic, subtle thing with the usage of color as well. So I owe him that idea. He's a clever guy.
Yeah, and when the two characters come together at the end and the world becomes a warmer place.
We thought, if we do this, people will think we're great, will think we're so smart, but in fact it's like a last minute thing. So
it still counts as smart.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more hands over here?
What inspiration do you take to make this film?
Good question. I really, like so many of the people up here have said, and guys, the movies today were so awesome, so great work for everyone who worked on these other films. Nothing super specific. I think the closest thing that kind of influenced it as we were going along is Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker, which is another kind of post-apocalyptic black and white sci-fi thing that I kind of have always loved, and as I was working on it, I was like, I realize I'm kind of subconsciously stealing from this movie, but it's different enough. But yeah, other than that, nothing specific. It really was just an attempt to do something that's not Mad Max. So yeah.
How did you get in touch with the artist that did all the work?
I literally just Googled his name.
Oh wow.
I knew the story of the Brolga, and I Googled that, and his website, and this is years and years, this is like 15 years ago, his website contained all of the paintings and all of the stories, and he also fashions indigenous artifacts and stuff like that, and his email was just on there, and it was just a cold call email. It's like, hey, this is a crazy idea. It sounds awesome. Give me a call. So yeah, it was really good. And I'll tell you that there were a lot of people back home that were saying, this is going to be very hard to do. This is a very, you're a non-Indigenous filmmaker. You're going to be dealing with this material. It's a bit touchy. You've got to be very careful, which is obviously true. But it was all of the Aboriginal collaborators that were like, do this. This is so awesome. This is about coming together. So we want more of this kind of thing. So I was like, that was really an honor.
Do Australian kids or in general learn a lot about the Indigenous culture in school? Is it integrated into your culture?
It is now, and I think that, I'm 33, so I think my generation was kind of the very first to really have that implemented. We really did grow up being taught a lot about that and taught to respect that, and it was incorporated very early on in our schooling. But there's always room for more, and it's a growing process, and non-Indigenous and Indigenous Australian relationships have a long way to go back home. So
yeah, I definitely felt like in school our generation got a lot of Dreamtime stories, which was really great. The thing that I think our schooling could do better is telling the more accurate historic events that happened in colonial Australia, and that's still very much whitewashed. Room for improvement.
Here too.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out too is I imagine that Indigenous people really enjoy this film because you're also showing that long after modern Western culture has destroyed itself, that culture is going to be surviving, which is beautiful.
Yeah, especially since, and I realized I've been not giving you any opportunity to answer.
No.
But the Aboriginal Australian culture is the oldest culture, in existence, and so their mythology dates back to the dawn, speaks about the dawn of civilization. So I think there's a symmetry in having that be the last surviving element of civilization.
Our lousy schools tell us Mesopotamia.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. there's that's definitely that theme and an idea is definitely something we want to be dealing with. Yeah.
Any more? Yeah.
Well, this isn't really a question. I guess it's more just a comment on it. I mean, it did seem like in the movie you were showing like two different interpretations of the post-apocalypse. I mean, in the first phase you were showing like just the ruins of civilization, and it's like cold, isolated, and lonely. And then in the second half, it's like just nature reclaiming its lost territory. And it was in that section of the movie where the connections were being formed again, both good and bad. So that aspect definitely resonated with me.
That's very deliberate.
Certainly, from my perspective, just like needing to like move back to my like suburb in Illinois, away from LA. It's like maybe that's what I need right now, is to like reconnect with like the people there and with my family especially. So I mean,
super true.
That part resonated with
We
me.
wanted to make the statement that, you know, nature is fine. You know, like animal, you know, like that's coming back, and that will always kind of reclaim itself, and you know, it's us that are out of the equation.
For sure.
Just striking the balance a little too hard is
Yeah,
what
that's
we're doing
right.
right now. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming out.